my channel. So good to see you guys again. On my Instagram page, I had posted a question to everybody about and I asked, what is your greatest love challenge? And a beautiful person, Salty Ink. Hey, shout out to Salty Ink. Hey, beautiful. So Salty asks, how do I love unselfishly? What a great question, right? How do I love unselfishly? That is a great challenge. That's a challenge we all have. How do I love unselfishly? Now that is a huge, actually, question to tackle. And I'm not probably going to sufficiently tackle the whole thing in this particular video, but I did kind of want to give a short answer. Because there's a short answer, but then there's a longer answer. I'm probably going to end up doing a series on this particular question. But again, for today, here's the short answer. So I'm going to read out of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, which is the love chapter, of course. And then I'm going to answer the question. So here's what 1 Corinthians 13 says. Though I speak with the tongues of men and angels, but have not love, I have become sounding brass or a clanging cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I can move mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, but have not love, it profits me nothing. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. The short answer, after reading all of this beautiful truth about love, the short answer is that selfish love, right? If we're loving selfishly, the reality is, according to this truth, that we're not really loving at all. There is no such thing as loving selfishly. Because love itself is not selfish. It cannot produce selfishness, right? It says love suffers long and is kind. It doesn't envy. All of these things are of selfishness. They're of a selfish nature. Why do we envy other people? Because we want what they have, right? It doesn't parade itself, which means it's not puffed up and prideful. Why are we prideful? Because we're only thinking about ourselves and how great and wonderful we think we are, or our opinion is, or our ways are, right? It does not behave rudely. Why are we rude? Because we're not considerate of other people. It doesn't seek its own. Right? It doesn't seek its own. I think that speaks for itself, right? It is not provoked. It's not easily provoked. Do you know how many people are out here being keyboard warriors, out here running their mouths, saying all kinds of stuff? They're prideful little opinions about everything somebody has to say and do, right? They get on that keyboard, they're a keyboard warrior, and they're just going to tell you what they think, and their opinion is God itself in their own eyes, right? And so a lot of times when this happens to people, especially if you're on social media, then you get provoked, right? Now you're angry. Now you're coming back at them on the keyboard. Shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't even know me. Right? Right? Why do we do that? It's funny because we think that defending ourselves means, I'm standing up for me. But it's really just pride. If you know who you are, then what does it matter what somebody else has to say about you when they don't know you from Adam? It doesn't matter, right? And so when it says it's not easily provoked, then people can say whatever they want to say, and you're just like chilling, not even tripping. Who cares? You can think what you want to think about me. Some people are just intent on purposefully misunderstanding you. You have just got to get that in your spirit, get that in your mind, and realize that that is a reality of how some people are. It's the nature of envy, right? To purposefully just misunderstand you, to just try to trip you up, just so that they don't have to believe inside themselves that somehow you're better than they are. It's terrible, but it's a reality that we live in, right? And that is selfishness. At the root of that is selfishness, right? But it rejoices in the truth, right? It doesn't rejoice in iniquity, right? It doesn't in iniquity, in things that are wrong, or things that are false, but it rejoices in the truth. It loves truth. You ever have somebody tell you the truth and you get all pissy? Right? Somebody tells you something truthfully about you, and about how they're experiencing you, and you just can't hear it, you just can't take it, and immediately you come popping out your mouth with a defense. It's selfishness that always want to control the narrative about self in the mouths of other people, right? I want to control the narrative that you have of me in your mouth by trying to super convince you of who I am. So if you tell me that you're having a negative experience with me, I'm just going to defend myself and tell you who I really am. But the reality is, who you really are is the person that they experienced, because if you were somebody else, they'd have had a different experience. Hello. Anyway, all of those things, right? The root of selfishness, right? And so it says, love hopes all things. Love hopes all things. Get a grasp on that. Just get a grasp on that. Because we can barely have hope for the next meal to be a good one. Right? We can barely have hope for that. Right? People don't have a lot of hope in their mouths these days. They got a lot of negativity going on in their mouth. They don't hope for things to be better. They always want to tell you how it is, right? They're always confessing and speaking of the reality that is going on around us. This is a reality. And what about the hope of something better? What about speaking the solution to the problems that we see, instead of restating problems over and over as though that's the only reality that will ever be? But love, and love lives inside of you, right? There's a hope that is living on the inside of you, and your mouth can't help but agree with it, And see, it says love bears all things. You can't be selfish. You can't love selfishly and bear all things. It's really interesting. Even in the church, as it were, people get real tired of seeing people suffer. Oh, they get tired, right? You come up with a prayer one time, it's like, oh, let me pray over you, right? And then they just want to get into the fullness of their spirit over you, and they want to lay hands on you and see you fall out under the power of God, and woo, and give God glory and praise God, and wow, it's done, right? And they feel so good about themselves. They feel real spiritual, right? But let you have a disease. It takes a little more than their show of spirituality, right? Whoa, that takes them beyond what other people can see, into the point of where they have to actually come to your house and see how you're doing. Or they might have to actually cook you some food because you are too sick to get out of your bed. Or they might have to actually pick up the phone and, instead of texting you, actually have a conversation and listen to the fact that not only are you feeling suffering in your body, but that suffering has somehow gotten into your heart. And they might actually have to listen to that. When it takes them beyond, right, themselves and their own desires or their own sensibilities. Oh, people lose patience. People lose patience. Get up in that prayer line one too many times and you'll see what I'm talking about. Whoa, and it's sad. It's sad. But then living in the church, I know the name Jesus and love is living in my life. Really now? Really? Interesting. There is no such thing as loving selfishly. You can't do it. You can't be selfish and be in love. You can't have selfishness and love at the same time. You just can't. That is not a reality that love will ever live in. Now, I hope that blessed you. That's kind of the short answer to things, but I will be working on a series soon that will dive a little bit more into not so much about, identifying the selfishness of it all, because I think we're all quite aware, but diving more into the ways of love. Love's way, because love's way is very unselfish. Love's way is very generous. Love's way gives way to a hope like you've never known and a joy that you can taste on the inside. It's just so beautiful. And so I'm excited and I'm working on that right now. And so please stay tuned for those things. Please click that subscribe button. Feel free to join this Love Junkie family. We would love to have you join the conversation. Hit that notification bell if you haven't already, so that you'll know when my next videos are coming up. I will see you all next time. And until then, please remember that God is love.